Welcome to the Biz Dad Podcast, where we dive into the melding of fathership and entrepreneurship with your host, the original Biz Dad himself, Adam Labar. Adam is a Christian, a former Air Force officer, a dad to 3 amazing kids, a coach, a real estate investor, and a business owner. On this podcast, he'll explore the unique journeys of amazing dads who are striving for greatness in both business and family. So whether you're a dad who is an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply a man striving to be a better dad, get ready as the Biz Dad brings you conversations to inspire, challenge, and equip you to be a better dad and entrepreneur. And now, here's Adam.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the Biz Dad Podcast. Today's guest is a good buddy of mine, Kamil. I've known Kamil for maybe 3 years, something like that. I have loved, Kamil, watching you as a dad, like I was saying right before the recording started. You've got 2 beautiful daughters. It's been just a fun family to watch and be around. So I want to kind of let the audience get to know you a little bit, have a good conversation with you, chatting about business and dadhood. But first, tell us a little bit about your family, introduce your family and yourself to everybody, and we'll start from there.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor, Adam. So thank you so much for thinking me in this aspect of life and journey. So awesome. So I am married. So I'm a Polish immigrant, married to Patricia. She's also Polish. We've met here in the States, though, since 2004 we got married, but we've been together since about 97. She thinks 96. I'm convinced it was 97 because that 96 year was wild for me. There's no way I was already in a relationship. Just kidding.
But yeah, not really.
So, no. Quite a bit of time with my lovely Patricia. We've had Natalia in 2007, so she's 16 now, and then Nell, so 2 girls. I didn't have like any wishes around having boys versus girls. I just kind of took it as it was. I was just excited to be a dad, and those 2 munchkins showed up, and the adventure of fatherhood was just for me. It was amazing. It still is, actually, obviously. So yeah, that's our family unit.
That's awesome. Yeah, watching you and your daughters. There was one Fambundance thing because that you guys did, like the dance thing, and it was phenomenal to watch. So you pull the girl dad off thing pretty well. Like I was telling you, I'm gonna have to give you a call through all the moments because since we just had our girls 8 weeks ago, it's like I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do now. Like. Even changing the diaper, I had to phone a friend and be like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. This is ridiculous. But since all I had was boys. But so tell me a little bit about your dad. This is actually something I don't know anything about you at all, any of your the background of that front. But tell me a little bit about your dad and your upbringing a little bit, so I can kind of start with the basics there.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in a village, actually, very tiny little village in the southeast region of Poland, right there where Ukraine is now, and Slovakia. So it's a border of Russia and Slovakia back in the day. And my childhood was amazing because, you live out there. There's just freedom, very little adult supervision. You're climbing trees, swimming in rivers. It was amazing. My dad met my mom because he got stationed there. He was in the army. And we then moved to a bit of a larger town / smaller city, about an hour bus ride away from the village. So I was there between 8 and 13. And at 13, I came to the States. So overall, very kind of lower middle class. So that was not. There was no classes of that sort in Poland because it was communism. Everybody was equal, so everybody was whatever class. And then after communism fell, we tried. My dad had a good job. He was an attorney-ish because he didn't work private sector. He worked corporate. My mom was a teacher. had a good relationship with both of them. Then my mom left to America in 1990. So I'm 10 years old. My brother's 12. And next 3 years between 90 and 93 before we left to America, it was just us and my dad. So we actually never really sat down and like talked about those times with my dad. But if I had to guess, he was freaking figuring it out the best he could. Cause it was sketchy at points.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me grow up faster. It made my brother grow up faster. Like I said, he did the best we could. He took us camping. We were still close to my grandma, so we spent weekends there. So there was still that whole family connection, family unit. And, overall, the Polish culture, like the Eastern European culture, the emotions are not so evident between parents, kids, families. Like you don't say I love you to each other. You don't hug it out that much, if at all. So that's the culture I was brought up, but there was love in the household. No doubt about it. Yeah. And those 3 years when we were by ourselves, like I said, there were some sketchy moments, but nothing that would, that would consider like dramatic, one or two incidences. He was good. And now I go to see him every 2 years and we have a great relationship. I mean, we're men, so we don't call each other every other day, or we'll touch base once every 6 months and then I'll go see him for a couple of weeks. I would say, positive, good influence. He was a martial artist. I took that away. I'm a long life martial artist. So he was a very good and positive influence, whether it was some of these sketchy situations, but still empowered me to be a man at an earlier age, which I consider a benefit. I consider that a part of the journey on a positive side. Or his, or the times he took us camping and hung out and was a great dad. He always was a great dad, but even more so. So overall, very positive.
Awesome. And so how long was he in the Army? And it was like a mandatory service thing, or was it just like?
It was for everybody, but he chose the path of staying in.
Okay.
It wasn't at the time. Obviously he got paid for it because he was in there. But it wasn't like it is in the States, because everybody was in the Communist Army. So with the interesting story, he was stationed as a border protection officer, which was kind of a cool job for him. I found out later, because it was like a Polish version of a KGB, not really, like a little bit, where he was in charge of knowing everything and anything about what's going on in all the surrounding villages.
Yeah.
All right. And what's the best way to gather intel from local farmers? Is to drink enormous amounts of milk.
Of course. Especially in Poland. Yes.
Yes. So he was good at it. He was good. Peter caught up with him, unfortunately, in a negative way. But that was his job. And then he gets thrown out, probably 86, 87, 88. Okay. Because he supported solidarity. Like he wasn't too ecstatic about enforcing the communist regime. So they kicked him out. It was nothing negatively impactful. They just told him to leave.
Yeah.
And then when he finished law school and was practicing for a bit, he wanted to become a judge. So he went in front of the board. This is like 1990s now, after. And they told him, you can't be a judge because you served in the communist military. He's like, come on.
That sucks. Yeah. He was like kicked out because he didn't support it. Yeah. That sucks.
So,
yeah. Well, good on him for sticking to his values, though. That's a plus. Like knowing what he wanted and sticking to it. So,
and actually, when I think about this, that had a big impact on me, because to be against it at that time, you had to have big balls, man.
Yeah. No joke. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, you watching that, like actually seeing it and seeing him get kicked out, because you were old enough, obviously, to remember all of that happening by the sounds of things. So, but man, I couldn't. That had to have been a crazy time to live through all of that, before and after the war.
It was weird because so. Like I said, we grew up in a village, but we actually lived about a mile away on that base. It was just 4 barracks, small base. But you lived on a military compound. Everybody's wearing uniform. All the vehicles are military vehicles. So it was weird to remember living on a communist military base from the perspective of today's reality. And then, it wasn't like a moment. There wasn't a moment where, hey, officially he gets kicked out and marched outside of the gate. No, we just kind of moved out. I didn't know any better. We just moved out. But it was an interesting regime. Like, we couldn't go to church. It was illegal. We got baptized in secret. So most of the people, even on the base, sort of were very few people were really into communism with the party and very official. Unfortunately, the boss of the base was, which made everybody's life difficult. But people sort of lived like a parallel life to the regime. Just because we're human, we're empathetic, we have emotions, and want to and have that need for connection. So very, very weird time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine that lived in China, and she said that, like even the kids going through school in China, they would kind of do that, live that parallel life. Like, you say the things you need to say in front of the people that you need to say them in. But otherwise they're like, yeah, I totally get it. Like,
yeah.
And like, it boggles my mind, because like, I don't know. It's easy to say sitting over here, right, on various different things, like, well, then stand up and say something to make it. But I mean, at the same point, like, that's all of your livelihood. That's everything that you could do. And that's, what are you going to do? Like, in the military now, I was in for 18 years, and it was like the amount of time that's changed, and the things that I thought to myself after, like, now thinking, boy, would I be standing up as much against some of the woke stuff going on in the military, because there was zero reason for that in the military, but yet for some reason it's going crazy. Like, stand up and say something. Everybody in there, everybody like in the ranks knows that this is not a good idea, but yet, everybody keeps their mouth shut, keeps on moving, and it's, I don't know. Yeah. I would imagine the pressure would be tenfold when you're looking at a communist regime over you. So
yeah,
but there again, compliments to your father, but good on him for sticking to it. So you came here when you were 13, you said, right? Right. So, did your dad come to, well, you said you go and visit him, but did he come at all over here too, or did you just come with your mom?
So, yeah, so my mom left obviously 3 years earlier. And then the last day of school in 6th grade, we came home. I was stoked for the summer. And my dad sits us down and says, boys, you're going to go to America. And we left abruptly, because even though the country was past communism, the social vibe was still very uncertain. It was like what's the good word? I don't know. It was where if you had planned to better your life, if you had an opportunity to do something out of the norm that your neighbors, and we lived in an apartment building, so everybody knows each other. If there was that, people would have done things to basically, throw roadblocks to that crowd effect that you have a chance to get out. No way, pull you back in. So you couldn't. So that's why we had to do it up, and sort of bail on everybody. I couldn't even say goodbye to my friends. We just left. Because there was always that risk that somebody could have called somebody and not let us leave the country. So we show up in America the summer of June 11th, 1993. And, the crazy thing for me is in Poland at the time, in that year was the first year that English Russian was replaced with English as a mandatory language in schools.
Nice.
So I was the first generation of kids that learned English instead of Russian. And I failed miserably. I completely failed. I had no idea I was going to go to America. But that was that first year. And then I show up and I'm like, damn, I should have paid attention in school. I knew not a word of English when we showed up here. So I went into 7th grade here in America and lived with my mom. She was already, she wasn't remarried yet. She lived with my future stepdad. And, completely new world, completely new life, new adventure, new beginning, very, very, emotional certainty. For a 13-year-old kid, it was certainly a adjustment.
Yeah, I bet. So how much contact were you still able to keep with your dad then when you came here?
Oh, sorry. I forgot about the point.
Oh, okay.
He didn't want to come to America because he was an attorney. He said, dude, I'm not going to go work construction or be a laborer. I put too much effort into creating, his profession and all that stuff. So, and then by that time, my mom and him grew apart anyway. So I think, well, obviously, yes, they weren't officially divorced, but they were no longer basically together. So yeah, that's why he stayed behind. And he did good for himself. He's actually still practicing. So he's all right.
Nice. So what if communism had already fallen? I was a little. What was the crabs in the bucket, to go back to that, right? So communism had fallen. You're on your way out. What would people have done to stop you from coming? Like, what was why? Yeah. Besides, for the lack of better terms, jealousy. But why? Yeah. And then what could they have done to stop you, or would have been more like emotional manipulation than anything else?
Technically, what they could have done? I mean, I guess call the embassy. And actually, I don't. Whatever you claim, I'm not really sure, but
it's a crazy perspective. And the reason I ask is, if somebody's listening, and so one thing that I've realized over my travels around the world. I mean, I've been to 20 different countries, if not more. Lived in many of those. So it's like, I talk to people here and they think that this is the worst country of the world, or you hear people that talk about it's the worst country of the world, or that this, that, or the other thing is terrible, or but people are completely ignorant to what life is actually like outside of their wonderful country that they live in here in America. So it's like, it really doesn't have to mean anything. It's like somebody could just call the embassy because they've got a friend that works at the embassy and be like, hey, this person said this about whatever. And then all of a sudden, nope, cut off. You're not going anywhere, And it's like, golly, man, the types of things
you could basically, you could show up, one reason, even though we were still kids, right? My brother was 13, but they could have said, hey, these guys are fleeing the country because they don't want to serve in the army when they're 18. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's it. You show up to the border and the guy goes, no, you can't leave.
Yep. Sorry. Ain't going anywhere.
As a matter of fact, when we stayed, we then started receiving letters in Poland to join the army. And when I was 18, I could already go back. We had our paper. I could go back and visit, but I didn't, because if I showed up flying in for 2 weeks for vacation, if I showed up at the border, they would automatically take me into the army. And a 2-week vacation turns into a 2-year vacation.
A 2-year not so vacation, yeah.
Yes. So that was the reality too. So there's probably a few different things people could have fabricated or something like that, and we would probably get stopped, maybe let through, maybe not, but it would have been just a hassle. So that was the mentality. But also at the same time, all that might have been false. It was just the mentality that my parents had, because in communism, that's what happened.
For sure. Yeah.
All of a sudden, your neighbor disappeared. Yeah. In communist Poland. So some of that probably, or a lot of it was probably just a story in their head, but that's how they proceeded with life.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah. It was, I forgot her name, Young Mi Park. I don't know if you've listened to her book at all, but she was like one of the people that escaped from North Korea. She's written, I think, 2 books now. But she's here in America and like talking to I mean, that is a completely different level of communism than a lot of other people have experienced in the communism world. Right. But, you know, you didn't, I think she had a saying like, you don't even tell your secrets to the rats. Like you just nothing. Like you say nothing to nobody, not your parents, not your brothers and sisters, nobody, you know, it's like, goodness, like that, like couldn't imagine living life just not even being able to, like it being, not even feel safe in your own thoughts, you know, like what a
we're
weird,
not made that way.
Yeah.
Humans are not made that way. And that's not sustainable.
Yeah, well, they're somehow sustaining it over there. I mean, I wouldn't say it's sustaining it. I would say it's very enforced and very. I mean, but when you have zero contact with the outside world, like it's you literally think that you know you've got it the best. You know, so how weird. But all right, so you've got a mom who's a teacher, a dad who's a lawyer, and then you decide to start running businesses. So. What was kind of the path to entrepreneurship to, you know, business running?
So she was a teacher. My mom has many lives. She is my hero. Well, it started with my grandpa. He was very entrepreneurial too, before anybody knew what that was. But she was, the caliper that got everything started. So she came here. She actually landed in America in 1990. She was invited by one of my distant uncles who lived in Jersey. And I might get the story wrong. She'll yell at me, but she shows up and the guy didn't even pick her up from the airport. Like whether he forgot or didn't feel like it. She's there. She don't know. She has no clue where to go. She only knew, I think, the town where he lived. Eventually, she lands in his house, and I don't think she even lived there for much. So she goes to live as a live-in caretaker for old people. Then she's cleaning houses, doing all the labor intensive jobs that immigrants do. And when she met my future stepdad, he was working on a siding crew as an installer. And she goes, dude, why are you working for this guy to just buy a van and do this thing ourselves? So they did. And she was running the show, right? She was scheduling, ordering materials, and eventually going out to jobs to measure and estimate. And that became a little bit of a sideshow, has a different definition, but at those times, those builders, contractors, they never seen a woman in the roofing or siding, you know, the industry. So the word got around and they gained a lot of traction and then business grew a little bit. They had 2 or 3 vans. So when I came there, they already had that business. It really not even a business. It was like their little job, their little hustle. Yep. 10 years, fast forward 10 years, right after I came, 2004. So I finished school. I finished college. I'm supposed to make a decision on what to do in my life. And I'm like, being an attorney is not that bad. Follow my dad's footsteps. Let me take the LSAT, send out some applications, see what happens. And right at the same time, my mom says, why don't you help me with the business on the office side of things for the summer until you wait for your applications to come back? And this is 2004. So by that time, they have probably about 3 to 4 vans. They are only working for contractors and builders. So it's not like they have marketing or sales, none of that. They just sort of work for those steady clique of builders that they established. I would say in revenue wise, maybe $500,000, 300,000 in revenues a year. So for them, I mean, it was a huge accomplishment, huge success for a lady off the boat, you know, a bunch of years prior. And couple of months go by and she goes to me, I want to move to Florida. We're going to start building some houses down there and flipping. And why don't you take over the business? And that's how it started. Now, it wasn't my intention. I wasn't even too excited about it. I had nothing about business, even though I went to business management in college, but that was a waste of time.
Yeah. That's the same thing I hear from everybody. Like, MBA is a waste of time. Like what?
Yeah. And I took it over. I kind of thought, man, I'm a business owner. Why not? 24 years old, entrepreneur. I'll wear a suit, drive a nice car. And then the next 10 years were just like torture, but fun. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other ways, but it was brutal, man. It was like owning 5 jobs in one, right? Accounting, APAR receivables, the ordering, like, dude, I was just overwhelmed. And then fast forward after that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you guys still have 2 pieces? I think your brother lives in Florida, right? And, and built houses here in Florida. And then you're doing all sorts of stuff up where you're at. So, are the businesses still associated or are they not connected?
No. Well, technically they're not connected. Well, no, I'm sorry. Technically now they are because I created a holding company. So that holding company owned all of but from just the industry aspect of things, they're different. So yeah, my mom always sort of is the first in, and then we follow her. When she moved down to Florida in 2004, my brother eventually moved down to Florida 7 years ago. So quite a bit after her. And we figured, hey, dude, you down there, you know a lot about construction. I got some capital. So let's start the same thing she's doing together. I'll supply the capital. You get it done, execute on the projects. And we started building custom homes down there. And it's been a fantastic journey. We're trying to pivot now because of the market, but it was very good to us. And we work great together. He's an older brother and we respect each other very much. And it's a great relationship. So it's a good deal that we have down there in Florida. It's mostly, like I said, his operation. She still does her own thing on the side, but she scaled it back way. She only does like 1 house a year. Here in Jersey, I grew that company that she sold me back in the day. She did sell it to me, which was...
What you're saying that makes it sound like there's an argument between that. Like
she took it. She was a tough negotiator. I'm happy because I have it. And so I scaled that one. We now have a COO. We have a full team, financial team, all of it. And then I got into some other endeavors in commercial roofing. So we're growing this thing here as well. And it's sort of all a family business, but they're all separate. So we don't mingle with each other's businesses. Like even my brother and I, even though we're 50-50 partners, he's running it. I don't go in there and tell him what to do. I mean, obviously I implement the EOS, Entrepreneur Organization System platform, so we can run the business efficiently. We jump on a weekly meeting just to check in. But other than that, we kind of respect each other's boundaries very well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I look at, my sons and I think to myself, how about like what, I don't know if you know anything about Andrew Tate. You know who Andrew Tate is?
I just started listening to this guy about 2 months ago. Yeah.
So love him or hate him, not really part of the, we can easily talk about that part, but the way that he talks about his brother and the way his brother talks about him is the way that I really hope that my boys are, right? Like they have such a bond when you listen to the two of them, the Tate brothers, that it's like, man, if I could just like put that portion of the mentality into the boys and right now I think they will likely be that way, just the way that they interact right now. But I love the family business side. I love working with the family. Like I want to include my boys and everything. I want to include and now my daughter, at 8 weeks old, she's not going to be doing much other than awesome photo shoots for us. So I could hire her for that, right? But I just love hearing brothers and sisters and family members getting in business together, because I think that's I don't know. To me, family means pretty much everything. So if why would I not want to be involved in business? I've been trying to talk to my sisters into getting into business with me for a little while. And, Sarah, she's 2 years older than me. She's shown some interest, but, she's been in the job she's in for like 25 years or something silly like that. So, we'll see how it goes. But, and I
don't know. Just so listen, I don't know if there's a secret sauce or a approach to life to make that work. We didn't focus on it. There was no intention around it. It's just sort of happened that we got along. And not that we got along when we were kids. He was beating the crap out of me. I don't know. Maybe it's the guilt thing now that he feels guilty about. But it was, I thought about that a lot because I would love to have some, thoughts, some empowering wisdom on how to make that work. But there isn't really anything that I can pinpoint to. We just sort of got along. I would have to say that a lot of it was on him and his approach to the relationship and his attitude, because we also worked together here in Jersey before he moved out. He was actually a sub for the main entity. So there's also that relationship of sort of him working for the company, right? Meaning for me, essentially, and him being older, right? So there is a huge mental approach as a man, and a brother to make that happen on his part of things, right? I'm always empathetic. I try to be as empathetic as possible. I'm a very social guy, and he's not that. He doesn't. It's like social aspect is not his strong suit. He's more reserved. He's more analytical. So kudos to him, man. I'm so proud of him that he approached our relationship and business and life from that aspect, because it's working great. So unfortunately, I don't know what early is. It's just people have to figure that stuff on their own,
Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that you guys are both hard workers, both immigrants, both work through a lot of different things, and both in similar jobs. I mean, me and my sister's going to be in very much different jobs. Like I just one's in banking, one's in retail, and then there's me. It's like who knows what I'm in? I'm in all sorts of things, so it's a tough one. But on the just semi off topic, how you like EOS? You implemented across multiple businesses by the sounds of things. So what do you think about EOS? And I've got a little EOS binder right there. So
there it is. Yes. All three of my businesses run on EOS. I started the implementation myself about 3 years ago after reading the book Traction. It wasn't working out, because my belief is outside of the structure that EOS provides, it's very impactful because of the accountability aspect of the platform for the team. And self-implementation doesn't have the same accountability. The accountability doesn't resonate as strongly if you're self-implementing, rather than if you bring in an implementer, a guy who's doing it for you, who sets up the meetings. He's there to set up the culture, the vision, the mission, the VTO statement. He's there to conduct first few L10 meetings. He's there to set the cadence, set the culture of the meetings, and the quarterlies are very important. They must be facilitated, in my opinion, by somebody from outside of the organization, because now the team members and organization have an outsider that they're accountable to. And the tougher of an SOB that guy is, the better. So to me, it was the game changed once I hired an implementer, like after a year or year and a half of self-implementation. And it took off. The company created like a soul, created that mission, the vision. Everybody was on the same page, and that was great. Now we've gotten to a point here when you scale that the framework of EOS might be a little bit limiting, because EOS is famous for the L10 meeting. And in the L10 meeting, there is a section that it's called an IDS, where we resolve issues. And so it's identify,
discuss,
and solve, right? And when you have a bigger organization, you can't solve 90% of issues in an hour. You can't. But what you can do is identify them and then set up meetings and right? So when you scale, that whole discuss and solve piece is then turns into a rock. And rock meaning you have a little bit more time to figure the situation out. But overall, it's an amazing system. I love it. I highly recommend it to everybody. I'm sure there's other systems out there. This is the one that I gravitated to. Not that I was looking for any other ones, but it works for us. It's very good.
Yeah, we've in ADPI, we've been implementing it for a little while. I took your advice when I talked to you about it and getting an implementer and making sure that we do that. Which reminds me, I need to reschedule our call for next week that I have with our implementer. But the joys of summer with the kids and all the stuff is the team. Our whole team almost has kids, so summer comes around and schedules get jacked up. But EOS has been it's been solid. We're still in the process. Like we just shifted our accountability charts again. So like we realized what we had wasn't really working very well. So we're still the beginning stages of implementation. And, it's been 6-8 months, something like that we've been working on it. But man,
it took us about a year and a half just to get in the groove.
Yeah. It seems to take a little while. So, if you're one of those people listening and you're like, oh, I should do it. And then 6 months in, you're like, this doesn't work at all. I hate, just give it time. Time, work through the process. It's honestly, it's like, if nothing else, just having that VTO has been huge to be able to share with the team and push forward. Those conversations have been priceless. So, anyways, back on track. So Natalia and Nell, how much do they know about the business? How much do you involve them in the business, if anything at all? Like what's been their experience inside of this whole world of their mom and dad being entrepreneurs?
They know about the business, of the business. I'm one of those dads that like, what do you want? What are you going to do when you grow up? You're going to own apartment buildings? There he is.
The joys of a dad podcast is you get to be a dad on the podcast. Yes. And what is all over your face, dude? Cream cheese.
Don't worry about it.
What do you eat? So you eat some bagels, cream cheese for breakfast, yeah? You bums.
He's awesome.
Remember Mr. Kamil?
Wow, he grew up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Do you remember him? You sure? Yeah. You say hi?
You're excited? Well, you already have one. Are you excited about your little sister? Oh, he can't.
Are you excited about your little sister, he said? Do you love your little sister? Nah, you want us to return her at the store, don't you? No. I'm going to keep recording, okay, bud?
Daddy,
yeah, bud?
last night, did you feed my snake?
Yes, I did. And the best part about this is I don't edit the podcast, so that's totally staying in. So
I love it. I love it.
All right, bud. Love you, dude. Have a terrible day. So I think you are not kidding. Yeah. And that's, it's nuts. But, and he's only 8 years old, but yet still, like I'm watching about the golf course and watching him run through life. And I'm like, dude, you're 8, not 18. Calm down. Calm down, buddy. Like it just, it's ridiculous. But, we're talking about Natalia and Nell. And the business.
Okay. So, right. So they know all about it. I'm always pushing. I'm always making silly comments about them being in the business, but they're completely not interested in any of that. Natalia's all into school right now and friends and making sure she taps into the high school experience as much as possible. She did got herself a job in the bakery at the register, which was a crazy, no, not a crazy story, but it blindsided me because I had no idea she wanted a job or was looking for a job. One day she probably planned it with mom on the side, obviously. But it's a local bakery that we always go to. So she knows everybody. And like one day she's like, I'm going in tomorrow to work. Are you even home? And now she's working at the bakery on the weekends. And, but yeah, I don't want to push, and I do push a little bit. I don't want to, I don't know. I want it to play out, see what happens, right? She's not too excited about college, which kind of makes me happy. But then again, my reservation is, what if you have a secret talent in biology, or what if you could be a tremendous value add to the society by being an attorney or a professional? Yep. You'll miss out on that. So I have that in the back of my head. But again, I'm not a huge fan of college. But it's real. And then at the same time, the spark around entrepreneurship for her is not there yet. Not to say that it's not going to be, but not there yet. So I'm in this spot where, you don't want to go to college, but I'm not sensing that urgency into other endeavors. Like, what are you going to do? Right. But again, she's still young. I mean, I'm sure I'm over exaggerating. And little Nell, well, she's into everything, singing, dancing, gymnastics, and so she's still a soul to be figured out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's what? How old is she now? 12? 10?
10. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A little stand-up comedy. She does everything. She does everything.
Your two daughters have been, they're awesome. Like, just their personalities, and you guys have done well. So are you guys going to Vermont?
Yes. So Natalia, obviously, she's now will be a 17-year-old by then. Not as easy to convince her to go to a Fan Abundance event. So I'll probably show up with Nell, and then Natalia and Patricia will join us 2 days into it, because Natalia hates missing school for some reason. I don't know. My dad told me, you're missing school because you're going away. I'm like, peace, let's go now. She's like, I can't miss school. All right. So yeah, Nell's back in, where we missed an event or two, I think. No, the last one we missed.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that Nell's back into that community. And we've also started a young adult community with Michael Blanc. And we had our first meetup. So Go Abundance guys and couples who have kids between 17 and 22. That's for them. Awesome. And Michael's doing a fantastic job with that, creating some programming. So I'm going to have Natalia tap into that. And now we'll be there at Fan Abundance.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was awesome. Like, Michael Blanc was at the one in Montana. It was really cool to meet him and see his kids, and they worked really well as a family, and it was fun to watch that family unit as well. So, but you could tell, I mean, there was, you have my kids running around at that time, 7 and 3, and then his kids, somewhere between 17 and, 22, 23, like that same age group you're talking about. So, a vast array of childhood activities going on there. So,
yes.
But is it a Go Abundance sanctioned thing, or just something you guys are doing on the side?
Well, it started off on the side, but we're trying to bring Go Abundance in and make it official and have them help us with it. But we sort of started it on the side. We had, like I said, our first meeting in Georgia, Atlanta, a couple of weeks ago. It was fantastic. And we are actually going on a cruise trip not a cruise, a yacht cruise, please.
Yeah. Jeez. Gracious.
Yes. A yacht trip to Croatia, taking the kids, and
that's awesome.
We're gonna curate some programming for young adults around that on that trip as well.
That's super cool. That's awesome. I was in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. Appreciate you letting me know. That was great. Yeah. I'm still 17 at heart, so I could have totally showed up. That's it.
Next time.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
So tell me more about your actual businesses. because you said you have 3 of them, I believe is what you said.
Yeah.
So tell me about those. You started off buying a business from your mom that was like, 3 trucks, 4 trucks, and now you've got 3, 4 businesses. So how was that transition? What happened in the middle there?
Yeah. So the main business is the siding and roofing residential company. Scaled it to about, do we want to go into numbers or not necessary?
Whatever. Yeah. I'd love to hear them. Sure. Why not?
Sure. All right. So, we scaled it to last year we did 7 mil in revenues. That company was mainly a siding installation company. Its main customer was the contractor / developer, new construction builds. So no real sales necessity, no marketing necessity for the first bunch of years of that business being in operations. And then about 2013 that I had that realization about not wanting to own a job. And I think the business owner should probably have a different approach to business and life. And that got me on a whole self-development journey, from which point, like books like E-Myth and other business books completely blew my mind. And I realized you can't scale a business if you're not working on it, right? Which was the main realization at the time. So then I really made a conscious effort to make sure we're pivoting to the retail residential customer side. And now we got sales guys selling at the kitchen table. Now we have marketing. Mm-hmm. Now we're talking about other geographical areas. Through EOS, we created our ideal customer. So we have an ideal demographic that we're targeting. We hired a marketing company. So that business is taking a shape of a real entity. I learned not too long ago that businesses go through these phases where in the beginning, let's call it in my industry, call it from 1 million to 5 million. You're working on the how. You're trying to figure out how to do things, how to create these processes, these systems. And then from 5 to 10 million, now you're focusing on the who. Who can I bring into this company that will add value, that's smarter than me, that can run this process or this department? And once you have that core leadership team from 10 to 15 or 10 to 17 million, now you're back into how to get the best out of that team that you've just created. What are the next steps? And then you're back into who, and it sort of revolves like that as your business grows. So right now I'm at the who aspect of things. Like I said, I hired a COO, we had a manager, had more salespeople. So we're taking a leap. There was a decision I needed to make about 2 years ago. Do I want to stay in this business and have a lifestyle business that generates, that $1 million and I'm happy and I got the money, I'm able to reinvest it, all is good, but I'm still working in the business. Like at the time, I was still selling up to about two and a half years ago. I was still at the kitchen table. So do I want to do that, and stay at this level? We were about 5 mil or so at the time. Or do I want to make this bet and invest back in the business, invest in people, bring in more salaries, bring in guys, people and ladies who are smarter than me and grow this business? But as a result, my net profit will shrink, right? And, but it would allow me to gain more freedom, time freedom. And then I could focus on expansion or acquisitions or things like that. And that's the decision I made. And here we are 3 years later, we're scaling. And, alongside of that, about 1.5 years ago, I was presented with an opportunity to buy a business. And it's interesting how it's all about the seasons of life and where your mind is and what you've heard and what you've learned at particular stages in life. Because about 2-3 years ago, I was at a GoBundance event sitting in the audience and I'm hearing Cody Sanchez talk about business acquisition, scale. And she's talking about this enormous opportunity in that sector of business ownership. And I'm sitting and thinking, man, and by that time I got a couple of doors already. I'm all into real estate. any money I make in the roofing business and the siding business, I deploy into real estate. And I'm sitting there and thinking, man, that real estate thing is cool. I love it. I love owning assets. I don't have any secret sauce. I don't have any advantage in that space. I'm doing the Burr method like every other bigger pocket listener out there in the world. Everybody's doing the Burr method. But I've been in business for like close to 10, 15 years now. I bought it in 2004. I took it through the 08 recession. I took it through COVID. And I'm like, there is something to it. I know how to run a business. By that time I was already building the team. So I know how to build a team. I am I think my unfair advantage in business, at least that's how I feel. I know there's other businesses that do it way better than I do, is the culture thing. It's my connection to the people and my ability to inspire, motivate, and create a vision and have their vision work in the company's vision. So we're all aligned towards the same goal. That's what makes me happy. And I thought to myself, yeah, man, I know how to do this. So after that event, my RDS was thinking about scale. I was already scaling, but like what other things I can do around business, tied into business, and how I can grow that part of my portfolio, and started liquidating the real estate a little bit. And then my buddy brings over the opportunity to purchase a commercial roofing business here in New Jersey in my market. And because I was exposed to that Cody's talk, and because my mind was already working around it, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. If it wasn't for that, I would probably say, no, man, I'm not buying the commercial roofing business. What do I know about commercial roofing?
Yeah.
Right. But it was the right time, right place. Fast forward a year and a half. It took me forever to take it down. Now we own that business. We closed on it last October, and it's a great opportunity. It's a business that does, last year they did around 12 million in revenues. It's private work. They don't do low margin jobs. They're a high margin company, very sophisticated, very value driven to the customers. They have a fantastic team on board, a team that's been with the company for 15 to 25 years. Wow. Some of these people. So I gravitated towards that culture and that loyalty. That's essentially why I bought the business. I bought the business because of the people that were in it. So those are the two main businesses here in the Northeast. And we talked about my brother's business down in Florida. So those three businesses are the main entities. I created a holding company, just to give ourselves some layers. Along with that, I created a service company. So now, I pulled out the functions of all the businesses that could service, as a shared service component. So my accounting, legal, financials, even some of the management positions, now they're employed by the service company and they provide a service to the other three entities, and I just bill back.
Okay.
So I'm trying to create this spoke wheel where eventually, shortly, maybe next year, I'm able, once I dial in my systems to a T and I can have a handbook that I can hand off to people, I can open satellite offices, or I can bring in other business owners who want to scale but don't know how. And I can say, guys, tap into, you can tap into my shared service company. We'll take care of all your back end processes. All you're going to be responsible for is sale and production out in your market, and I'll take care of the rest. And that will be the value add to business owners who want to be there, but not sure how to do it. And then eventually they can go on their own and just sort of like a stepping stone to bigger and better things. But at the same time, service my entities that I'll purchase into the portfolio.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, Cody's talk was talking about, I think it was like 80% of small businesses just close the doors. They don't sell. They don't do anything. Just they're ready to retire. They don't even think that they could sell, and they just shut the doors, and that's it. Was this one of those situations where the guy was getting ready to retire, and we're at 12 million in revenue? I can't imagine that person's just ready to just close the doors. But were they getting ready to retire and just wanting a new stage in life, or how did you come across this acquisition?
my friend who is in the commercial roofing industry approached me to open a commercial roofing division under my primary business. And I told him, I said, man, I'm not interested, because if you're new to the market in that industry, it's a race to the bottom. You're going to have aggressive pricing. Net margins are going to be low. Risk is tremendous, because average ticket size in commercial roofing is like $300,000 per job.
Yeah.
So risk is tremendous. And I said, dude, I would love to, but unfortunately I'm not interested. And he said, you know what? I know this guy who's looking to sell. And that's how that came about. Now there was three owners, and they were selling because the main owner, or the guy who drove the company, who basically ran the whole business, needed to move to Florida. There were some health issues around in his family, and he wanted to provide the best opportunity for his family. And that was the main reason why they wanted to sell. They had a hard time figuring out a succession plan. So a couple of different things that were in play that made the decision for them to sell.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put up a good opportunity for you by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you ever read Buy Then Build?
Oh yeah, of course. There's somewhere on my desk.
The book is phenomenal. Like it. So ever since that chat with Cody, like I've been wanting to buy a business myself. I just, I don't know if I've just come up with excuses, or if I am just like that busy that I just haven't done it. But I mean, I would love to go buy a couple businesses, and it's just a matter of like, what businesses do I want to buy? Like, what are they out there? I've been thinking service industry stuff, because I mean that's one of those things it's unlikely to ever go away, right? I mean, look at what you do. Everybody is always going to need a roof, right? Like, I mean, everybody's always going to need siding. Speaking of, where's your mom's business here in Florida? Because I live in Florida now.
Cape Coral.
Okay, yeah, because I need a roof.
Yeah,
so
Yeah. No, she can build a house for you. She's no longer.
Oh, she doesn't do that side anymore. That's right. You said one house a year. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they've got good contacts,
you're
for
in
somebody.
the Panhandle, right?
No, I'm in Tampa. It's like
David Salas has a roofing company, but I don't know if it goes up to Tampa. But reach out to him. He knows everybody down there.
Writing that down. Yeah, we just we had Hurricane Ian, no leaks, no nothing. I mean, the roof is working on getting older, so I was, halfway hoping that it would rip part of my roof up so that I would have to get one right. But nothing. Hurricane Ian, no leaks in the roof, no nothing. And then we had like 5 big storms in a row here recently, and all of a sudden I get a leak running through my spare bathroom, and I was like, son of a gun. So I gotta figure now I've gotta get a roof. So but we'll see how it goes. I was told there was hail in multiple of those storms. I don't but so I called the insurance company. We'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Yep, a roof is needed. Anyway, there was something I was going to ask you before that, but I got sidetracked by my own selfish needs. Which I'm going to say this for like the 6th time on this podcast, not this particular one, but for people who have listened this far into this many podcasts, is I created the podcast saying like so I'm going to rewind a tiny bit. I was on Devin Elder's podcast. And he mentioned he had a house for each of his kids, and like teaching them how what it is to have a tenant, what the business, all the business side of it. And they each owned, the house, and they were working through the process. Like, hey, you don't get any income this month because we had to put in an HVAC and do it all. I was like, dude, that is phenomenal. I totally want to do that. So I started talking to Adam about it, and he's ready to invest in a house. And I was like, boy, if I could steal that one idea, I would totally love to get more ideas from other dads. So that's how I just kind of was like, I'm just going to talk to a bunch of dads who are entrepreneurs, and I'm going to steal as many of their ideas as possible. So
that's the story of my life.
Yeah. So I go down rabbit holes that are personally helpful to me, and I hope somebody else gets something out of it.
Hell yeah.
But I don't remember what I was going to ask you before that.
Yeah.
We were talking about the service company and the...
Yes. Okay. So we did the service company. and then the roofing company and the Florida company. So then later this year, Q4, don't tell my CEO, he's going to freak out. I am back into the search for a new acquisition or a merger.
Okay.
So 2024, we're going to add something to the portfolio. Another big endeavor that we didn't talk about in Florida, we are pivoting from custom home spec builds to multifamily, and developing bigger projects. We're working on a deal right now. It's unfortunately, hit a roadblock. Hopefully we can pull through. If not, we'll find another one. But more so, rather than talking about the deal and the type of, the type of project is multifamily, obviously, but, the particular deal I am focused on, again, back to EOS, I am focused on reinventing that Florida company into a development company. We actually just made a hire. He started today, our operations manager, on a higher level, individual who's going to help us build it all out. So as great and as efficient we were in a single custom home business, we had a nice little tight team, very efficient, but it's not what's going to allow us to do bigger deals. So I'm excited about creating a team, for that type of endeavor. And, that's the business I see myself in, long term. I kind of even see that being like a generational wealth play, creating a big development company that can tackle projects such as, hundreds of units at a time, or even, I mean, the ultimate dream for me in my head and my brother is actually we're on the same page, is go build some sky rises.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's something that's really exciting for me. That's like a 3 to 5 year play in Florida.
Maris Tower in Miami. Yeah, so.
Hell yeah.
I love it. That's phenomenal. So what kind of acquisition are you thinking about making?
Certainly in the same lane. I'm thinking commercial roofing first, because I see that the easier to scale industry than the residential. Residential is, a boatload of transaction. Like last year we did close to around 300 transactions to get to 7 mil. The commercial roofing business maybe did 20 or so to get to 12 mil. So it's just, it's just a major difference. But again, if there's an opportunity for a residential company in a certain market that fits our VTO and might be a good opportunity to gain the market share, then for sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, in those two industries, I'm not ready yet to tackle like HVAC companies or plumbing companies. I'll focus on that first, but I'm open to conversations about anything. And, I'm excited. I just have a good feeling about being able to scale that and create that ecosystem, which is based on culture. Again, I'm big around that. And I think that will be my secret advantage. It just feels good. It feels like I'm on the right track. I don't have to force it. It doesn't scare me that much. So I get excited about it. So that's why I'm going down that lane.
That's awesome. You've talked about culture 3, 4, 5 times. Tell me, like, oftentimes, at least, what I've kind of seen is, we'll take some things from our business life and apply it to personal life, and take some things from our personal life, apply it to business life, kind of back and forth. What kind of, and I can't imagine that you don't have, I've seen whether it's written down on a piece of paper or not, I don't know, but like the culture inside your personal family is, you guys always seem to be having fun. Obviously, I mean, you're still family, there's still drama, there's still things that go on in the background, but, tell me about like the culture, and like, do you think about it in that sense, like applying culture inside your family the same way you do in your business? Like, how do you work through that thought process? Or is that thought process there at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went through, and I think your family was part of it once or twice, through the value exercise at Chambers. It was amazing. We've done that a couple of times. We wrote it up. And it was pretty cool. The kids were still younger because this was about 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So Nell was, we should definitely do that exercise again. So what disappoints me in my personal approach to life is, and I think this would be true to many of us, we take the family aspect of what you just said for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I am very conscious about repeating our company's values at every opportunity I get. A morning huddle, somebody does something great. I'm like, man, Paul exhibited passion. Thank you for doing that, right? The quarterly meetings, all that stuff. But with family, not so much. And I could certainly have to do a better job of that. But we are definitely a value-based unit as a family. Adventure, travel, positive mindset are some of the things that we value a lot. And we try to remind each other about staying on track. But like I said, I could certainly be doing a way, way better job. But yeah, I'm convinced, and this is not something I've held it forever, but just in my self-development journey, I was convinced that if you're not leading with values in both your family and business life, you're going to either burn out, or you're going to get to a certain point, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to be like, why am I not advancing? Is because there's no substance behind it. If there's no substance, if there isn't something real behind the purpose of your business adventure or venture, or the same goes for family. If there's no, like I said, like that soul behind whatever you do as a family unit, then I think it's way harder to live life that way. Now you're forcing, and it's just not that's pointless.
Yeah, you're either forcing it or you're just kind of floating along. Like either way,
check out. You check out.
Yeah, you're just checked out. You're not getting the traction. You're not moving forward. You're not, building relationship. You're not anything. Like there's, one of the things that I've been saying to my kiddo since it was just Adam and he was, running around the house is, stay calm and work through the problem. Like that's like our family motto at this point. Like there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be something. We're trying to always have something to go back to. And we even said it again yesterday in the pool with Rourke. He's absolutely loving life, 4 years old, not wanting to ever have his floaties on in the pool, which is great. And there was a point he just started like freaking out a little bit. He popped up, and freaked out a little bit and got to the edge. And I was like, why'd you just scream? He's like, I didn't think I was going to make it. I thought I was stuck. And I was like, oh yeah? Like what happened? And I was like, but you know what you did? You stayed calm and you worked through the problem. And and he was like, I did. He was all excited about it. And then he jumped right back in the water again, there's gotta be stuff behind, what we're doing. And I really want to do that values exercise again too. I mean, the last time I did it, I think Rourke was like, not even a year yet. I don't think. I think maybe he was a year old, but no, he was 2, something like, I don't know. He was a couple years old, and it was like what a difference it's going to be now, with a little bit more involvement from the kids. And I say these things and I still fail miserably at doing them. I do it better in the business than I do in my personal lives. Like I want to have like the little posters up in the house that have like our values on it, and get something professionally made that's up on the wall that we can look to all the time and say, this is our family. This is what we stand for, but all I've had is that, one poster board that I don't even know now that we've moved to Florida, even where it's at. Where did it go?
Same.
Yeah. So we needed to, I wonder if we're going to do that again up in, Vermont.
We should. Why not?
We should.
I mean, yeah. It's a valuable exercise, and there's a lot of new families in the tribe, so there's no reason not to do it. I think Mike McCarthy might be back on that one. So,
oh, nice.
He's a master of that exercise.
He is.
I think he actually has professionally made value poster in his kitchen. He wrote a book about it. Yeah.
I just got it. Like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. So I need to get the family to go together. He was on the 7 to 8 thing, and I was like, I completely forgot he wrote that. They're like, I'm going to buy it. I literally bought it while I was listening to him. I was like, I've got to get this stuff. But now I've got to not just have it sit on my shelf. That's also key, So action. But yesterday while I was mowing the lawn, I finished one business book. And
Why
then
are you mowing your own lawn?
So there's two reasons, right? So I've thought about that multiple times, but that's time that I kind of get to be in my own head, and that's it. There's nothing else around other than whatever it is that I want to listen to. So it gives me a couple hours of just me, and that's actually something I semi enjoy. My dad comes over once in a while and he mows my lawn. He's done it twice now, and he likes to do it too. He puts his headphones on and just rolls around out there and does the thing. But then I tell myself, okay, that's 2.5 hours, 3 hours that you're not spending with your kids. Like my boys were swimming in the pool while I was mowing the lawn. Like I could have been playing with the kids. So
but that's important. I want to make sure that we touch on that, because I call it thinking time from the book. Oh boy, dude, escapes me every single time. The book about bumper stickers. Have you read it?
Oh, nope. I don't know this one.
All right. Put in the show notes. When Camille remembers. So anyway, he talks about having a thinking time every week, 90 minutes. I have it. I'm not always as disciplined to make sure I execute it on it every week, but when I do, it's always so unbelievably productive. And again, your thinking time could be driving a car, could be sitting down, could be outside, could be on the tractor. So it is where it is, but I think it's a must as part of one's schedule to have that time. So I appreciate that. Now, I try to do it when kids are in school or something like that. Like going back to maximizing time with family. It's hugely important, especially for us entrepreneurial dads who are pulled so many different directions. So you want to make sure that when the kids are home, as much of that time is also available. You're making yourself available. So I get it, but you cannot discount thinking time, brother. So you're on the right track. Maybe just pick a different time to mow on the lawn.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
Do it at night.
Do it at night or while they're at school or something. Yeah. It just, I remember when I was listening to something, I don't remember, but they were interviewing a Jewish guy, and the guy was like, every Jewish guy I know is wealthy. Like, how do you guys do it? And he's like, have you ever seen, if you come by my house, you will never see me mow my lawn, but you will see one of my Jewish friends mowing my lawn, because his expertise is mowing the lawn. My expertise is whatever it was. And he's like, so as a community, we grow each other all the time. Like, I'm not spending time on things that aren't my highest and best use. But what I will do is hire my friend who that is his highest and best use. That's his company. That's his stuff. And they work together as a community. And that's how he's like, that's how we're all wealthy, is we're paying attention to what we're doing. So you calling me out on that was like a strike in my head. Like, yeah, you knucklehead. Like, But,
well, it's okay if it's your thinking time.
At the same point, yeah. I mean, the amount of times I stopped on the lawnmower, I was like, okay, let's put it down, take a note real quick, send myself an email, and I'm back to mowing the lawn again. It's like it's helpful and not, right? But I don't know when else I would listen to some of the books I listen to, right? I mean, I'm pretty go most of the time, so that's the only time I'm really sitting there. Other than, especially now that it's summer here and there's no school, and it's not like I've got to drive back and forth to school to get me into the books. But yeah, that's where I was going. Is before you made fun of me about mowing my lawn. I finished. I listened to everything at like 2-3x, so I burned through the stuff pretty quickly. So there was one. It was only like a 4.5 hour long audiobook, but I listened to it at 3x. So I burned through that entire book and then finished up another book. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, you're I don't know, this year I'm maybe eight books in, something like that this year. None of them were family related. So I'm sitting here looking at this one going, hey, you idiot. Like, you've done all these other books. Why have you not gotten into this one? So that's,
guilty of that too.
Yeah. I think we all are. It's that doesn't mean that it's acceptable, but it means that we're all. Can you hear my kids in the background?
No,
They're having a blast out there. They just keep sliding back and forth and like just chasing each other. It's phenomenal.
That's not bad, baby.
It's so much fun to watch.
That's it.
But and we've got an au pair now. This is our second au pair that we've got, and she's from Brazil, and she's been awesome with the kids. It's so much fun to like literally she was here. She got here on a Thursday. Friday when
recently?
No, like 3 weeks ago, not like this past.
Okay, gotcha.
She's been here, 3 weeks, I think, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. So she got here on a Thursday, and then that next Friday morning, I woke Rourke up and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go drop your brother off at school. It was his last day of school. So do you want to go? Do you want to go with?" I want Miss Camille. So her name is Camille. And I was like, really? Like day one? This is awesome. Like this is going to be great. So he was a big fan already, but the three of them are just running around the house like mad people. And it's so much fun to watch and listen to. Guys, that's one thing working from home is, there are some distractions, but I can't help but just be thrilled about the fact that my kids walk by and I get to say hi to them. That Adam walks in the middle of recording a podcast and I get to give him a hug. Or Raquel walks by. Like having Raquel home right now is unreal. But she's on baby leave, right? So I walk out of the office and I've got my whole family here. I'm like, I cannot wait for her to retire in 2 years. Like this is going to be so awesome. Good. But something I definitely did not get working 50, 60 hours a week in the military. So this is lovely. I'd much rather work 50, 60 hours here doing this than doing what I was doing. So man, oh man. So what do you, what does retirement look like to you?
Very interesting question. I just recently did this exercise. I don't know where I got it from, just to write out your ideal day.
Mm-hmm.
And hold on, I got it right here in my notebook that's right in front of me. Let me revisit that. What is my ideal day? Future self. I think that was it right here. If I don't find it, it's going to be very anticlimactic. But let's see.
Kind of like your book you were talking about earlier. Something about
I got
thinking.
I got it. Yeah, I'll remember that book. I'm telling you before it's over. I'm getting up at 5:50 a.m., doing my miracle morning, taking the kids to school. The older one. Then coming back, making breakfast for the little one and Patricia. Taking the little one back out to school with Patricia. Then we stop by for coffee on the way back. And then I probably bang out a couple of high-level meetings with some of my COOs or whoever's running some of these companies at the time. Then obviously you need time to hit the plates and do a little workout, gym, lunch. That's a late lunch. I got to revisit that. And then I wanted to leave myself always a time for strategizing, whether that's business, family, life, planning adventures or the next big thing in whatever, genre. And then obviously family time when everybody gets home. So that would be my ideal day. What does retirement look like for me is, I don't think I'll ever, not that I think, I know I'll never stop reinventing myself and exploring different opportunities. Like I like to watch a movie or a good documentary, but I'm not one to sit on the couch and just watch TV aimlessly.
Mm-hmm.
My circle of friends here is quite tight. Intentional about who I spend time with. But you know what? That is something to talk about. It's one of the things in my life that I want to start putting more emphasis on and creating more meaningful relationships. Some of that is, amazing people like yourself. You live in other states. So it's not that easy to get for a Sunday barbecue together, but I do want to make sure that's part of my life. So I'll always do something. I'll always try to mentor people and stay active. I'm a strong believer that anything in life needs to be exercised like our muscles are, whether it's our brain, our habits. Everything needs to be cultivated for it to flourish. So, man, yeah, retirement pretty much is not much different from what I do now. Maybe less meetings.
Yeah. It's funny, as I told Adam that the other day. He says, because he knows when mommy's going to retire. That's in 2 years. Mommy's going to retire. And if you're listening to this, Raquel, yes, in 2 years, don't like. So she's up for promotion next year, and I told her, I said, I will do everything I can to sabatage you from promoting, because that means another move. That means another like 3 more years on top of that. I said, I just nope, not going to do it.
Yeah.
But Daddy, when are you going to retire? I said, buddy, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. I said, I'm working from home. I get to come outside and play with you guys in the middle of the day. We get to go places. We went to Busch Gardens in the middle of the week last week. I said, it was funny because I was like literally sending a wire from Busch Gardens. Like, so I got a phone call that we needed something up, like sending a wire. It's like, this is the beauty of doing what I do, bud. Like, it's just no big deal, And, but I was like, I like doing what I like. I finally found something I like doing. And is it going to shift? Yeah. But I mean, I think that's one of the beauties about the entrepreneur side of the house too, is like, once you kind of figured out, what you're really good at, and that's running business stuff. So I'm sure that you could buy just about any business and run it well. You just got to find the right person who's the right fit inside those things, and then let them run it. And like you said, have the strategic meetings with the operators of those businesses and move on. And I don't know if I'll ever stop doing that type of stuff. I really enjoy this business side of the house. It's a lot of fun.
We hear it all the time. It's, if you love what you do, you're not really working. And it's true. I mean, it's hard to sort of, question that thought pattern, because if I enjoy what I do, it's not, I don't dread waking up in the morning. To me, Monday morning is like a Saturday morning. It's all fun and games. Obviously there's weeks where things are stressful and you look forward to disengaging over the weekend. One thing I'll also touch on, something that really resonated with me, where somebody asked Richard Branson, and how did you get to be a billionaire, not once, like multiple times in multiple businesses? And he said it to your point where you just mentioned. He said, I create a vision. I create like instill passion in that vision. And then I find people who are way smarter than me to execute on that, and just let it be. It's as simple as that, really. It's really as simple as that. It's not simple implementation, and doesn't mean it's easy.
Simple,
it's not easy, but the concept is real, and it's simple, and it's a fact. That's how it is. That's how that's sort of what my experience is now, is hiring level team. All of a sudden, it's easier to run this business, even though it's bigger than it ever was. Right.
For sure.
And there's not much else to it. You just got to trust the process.
Do you know who Ryan Pineda is?
Yeah. I don't listen to him that much, but I know him. Yeah.
Yeah. He, one of the things he talks about is like, he's like, I always have business ideas, things that I want to create, things that I want to go. But if I don't know who I'm going to have to run it, not even following it. The amount of people that bring me things and the ideas that, sure, they may be phenomenal ideas. They may be the next, $100 million business that I have. But if I don't have a person who's going to run it, it ain't going to be me. He's like, I need to have somebody who runs those businesses.
That's it.
So, if you don't have a COO for the business, if you don't have an operator, then not getting involved with it. And that's kind of, I'm not at that point yet, but as I'm, the operator of both of my businesses. But yeah, I look forward to those acquisition things. I think that's one of the things that I fear a little bit right now. I'm buying a business, to go back to that thought process. Is I'm like, then I have to go through the effort of trying to find who am I going to have operate that? Like, am I going to know, like, and trust the person that's already operating it? Am I, all the stuff? And, so now that I'm saying all that out loud, then yes, it is more of a limiting belief than anything else. Like, I mean, shut up, Adam, go buy a business.
Yes, it's the same thing as us letting go of being the operator. When I took the test on the Rocket Fuel book, where that you score yourself whether you're a visionary or integrator, I scored higher as an integrator.
Yeah.
And because I ran my business for the last 25 years. And it was a whole mindset process about letting that go and changing that story in my head. And it was journaling. It was conversations with coaches. I had to shed that identity. And it was so counterintuitive because, again, like any business owners, nobody can do this better than me. Of course, how can I give this up? This is my baby. And the reality is, on the other side of that change, of that shift, you bring in excellent people. That's not an easy process, but it's also doable. And those excellent people have unique skills and abilities that take this thing to another level that you realize you could have never done. Yeah. Because you don't have those same skills. And you were out talking about me. I was amazing to get that business to that, whatever we hit 5-6 millions before that transition. But I know now I couldn't have brought it up any further.
What got you here will get you there.
That's the reality. Yeah. Yes, that's the reality. So we just have to, it's just that evolution of a business owner, and we just have to go through it.
Yeah, for sure. It's, the mentality shift that you have to have, and, one of the books I was actually listening to yesterday was What Got You Here Won't Get You There, is I think the name of the book. And it wasn't, earth shattering or anything, but at the same point, it was a good reminder of why we hire the right people. Who Not How is an amazing book. Have you read 10X is Easier Than 2X yet?
Oh my God. Everybody's talking about
it. But I mean, it's the same authors as Who Not How. And
Ben Hardy.
Ben Hardy. And I mean, it was really good. It got me thinking a lot, but to rewind a minute, the visionary integrator thing you were talking about, like, so in my military jobs, it was always like whatever needed to be done, you figured out how to do it. Right. So, adaptability was just what you had to do. Like, I've never done this before, so I'm going to go figure it out, and hey, we don't have anybody else to do this, so I'm going to go do it. So like when I took that test, it was like, I think the response, I did the one online before I did the one in the book, but it was like, I'm not sure you're a visionary or an integrator, because like, it said I could do it all. Like, I was just like, yeah, I'm like, sure, I'm comfortable doing this, I'm comfortable doing that, I'm comfortable doing this. And they were like, all right, buddy. Like, I was like, wait a second. Like, but I think that I've stayed in that mentality of what is it, like, I just give me the problem and I'll fix it, vanilla ice over here, give me a problem, yo, I'll solve it. And I just couldn't, I don't know. Like, it's a mentality thing that I still need to break. I've only been out now for 2 years. So it's a year and a half, 2 years, and trying to get over that. Okay, what is my highest and best use? What is the thing that I am best at? And I think I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. So I do need to get rid of some of those limiting beliefs, though. We all have them, and I've made a couple of mine show up just on this call. So it's one thing I hate about talking to you, Kamil, is you challenge me.
We always will happen. They just show up at different levels. There are certain limiting beliefs that I have that I don't even know that I have yet.
Yeah.
It's when you get to that point in business ownership or family that you're sort of like, whoa, I didn't even know that was my limiting belief, but there it is.
Yep.
So that's why it makes it interesting. It's always an evolution, reinventing yourself every step of the way.
And we have limiting beliefs, family, business, doesn't matter. Like, what am I capable of as a dad? What am I capable of, as the leader of my house? And yes, everybody listening, I did say that as the dad and the father, I am the leader of the house. Whether people want to believe it or not, that's the way it goes. That's the way it should go anyways. But, I tell my son all the time, my sons all the time that, whatever, they've got to think through those processes and break through the barriers. And then, here I sit, eating my crow as I'm not breaking through some barriers in my own life type of stuff, It's like, golly. But I mean, that's part of the process. That's, I love that thinking, and I always want to be able to keep doing that rather than put my head in the sand and bury it. So,
yeah.
All right, brother. Is there anything that we haven't talked about in business or family that you wanna bring up? Any ideas? Have you thought about the name of that book yet? Yeah.
I'm just excited for you to start playing with Barbie dolls soon. And I want to see that in action. One thing I'll say, yeah?
No, go ahead.
No, one thing I'll say about being a dad of daughters is, to me, that's just the kind of dude I am. It was liberating to be a 30-something-year-old, then 40-year-old, and just let the guard down and just be silly and play with the dolls and have your nails painted. I was like, yes, this is the best. Like I could go back to being a kid, right?
Yeah.
I had my martial arts for the manly outlet, sparring and kicking people's butt. But then when I got home, it was so awesome. And as you know, cause you're amazing at it already, it's that time spent. I love Pat Hyben's stuff too, right? Love is spelled time. And with girls, we talk about meaningful time spent with girls. It is just letting go and being silly and being, it's hard for us, but it's that feminine energy at the girls level. And I think that's what makes a difference. At least what made a difference for me, growing up with two girls, or two girls growing up with me.
Yeah. And you're growing up too. Don't fool yourself. But I grew up with two older sisters, and it was like they were always really mean to me. I was like, they're two older sisters. Like even like they would never play anything that I wanted to play, so I always had to play what they wanted to play, and like whether it was Barbies or whatever. So I'm sitting there, and they wouldn't even let me be Ken. Like they made me. I don't even know there was like this little baby Barbie, and they were like, "Yep, that's you, bud." I was like, "What the heck?" It's like I can't even be Ken. I can't. Come on, guys! Like what the heck? Like it was a mess.
You're gonna get to be Ken now.
Finally, I get to be Ken. Yeah, I tell people, listen, my wife rides motorcycles and shoots guns. So if we have a little girl that wants to be a princess, we're screwed. Like we're not. I know what to do. We're both gonna have to figure out how to do all this. I mean, I could count on one hand how many times she's gone out and got her nails done, and one of them was because I bought it for her birthday. Like we went out together, and I was like, "This is, so like that's just not something she does." So if Diana does that type of stuff, we're going to be very confused. But we'll figure it out. You will.
Yeah. And you'll have lots of fun doing it, man. So I'm so happy for you. It's going to be amazing.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I really look forward to it. Man. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you jumping on. It was awesome to catch back up. It was good chatting with you. One thing that I've been on quite a few podcasts, but it's always like business, real estate. And I really, being a dad to me is much more important than business. Business allows me to be a better dad, but I need to be a dad first. So, it's fun to chat about that and steal some good ideas and get some challenging thought processes going. So I appreciate it, Kamil.
100%. I appreciate you having me on, man. This is lots of fun.
If anybody wants to reach out to you, or if you have any desire for somebody to reach out to you, what would be the easiest way to do that?
Facebook messengers, DMs, all that good stuff. Social media.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm not very good at this show notes stuff yet, but hopefully we'll have a good show notes in there with your Facebook profile. Get some people over that way. But thank you so much, Kamil. I appreciate you jumping on, and I look forward to catching up in person. All right.
Thank you so much for listening to the Biz Dad Podcast. We hope you found some value in your time here with us, and we look forward to bringing you the next episode. If you've enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and share so you and your friends won't miss our upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Rumble, where we continue these discussions and share more valuable content. Be the dad you know you need to be and run your business in a way you're proud to share with your kids. Keep crushing it.